very silly. I mean, I liked when I was speaking. I did not like when I learned I was doing so into the void. And now I'm updating the link. I should probably use just a general stream link. You know, or you know that just shows you all of my streams, because as you see, I'm still not 100% down. Well, I'm down, but I'm not 100% comfortable. That's not even a word. It's not even the word. I'm not very good at this yet. But I'm learning, and that's what matters. I am changing my profile settings in Instagram in order to what the heck? Come on. Settings. Okay. Okay, well, whatever. I'm hoping that people can make it to the correct. Oh, here we go. Okay. Here we go. I'm just removing the link from YouTube. And I am re-uploading information. Okay. Let's try this again. Hello. Welcome to my computer is very bad at dissipating heat, and therefore it limits the CPU. Welcome to, I suppose, what I'm calling hacking in Cmajor, where I'm learning the Cmajor programming language. The basic ins and out, I suppose, enough to prototype effects and see if I can integrate them into my workflow. And also just to mess around with a new language. It's nice to, I'm currently working on, do I have that repo open? Yeah. I've been working on this compressor plugin for forever. And I am finishing up some UI stuff. I have this PR in, which is great, but it is a little exhausting to have something that you're at the very end at and you have to get the last 5% in. And it's also very humbling to, when you have a side project, to be looking at the git blame. I was refactoring something in this commit somewhere, this very large commit. And it said that I made the change, and I could tell because of the commit name that I had made the change 2 months ago. And I said, wow, I've spent 2 months on this, and that's not because it took a very long time. It's because I've been working on it in like half-an-hour increments. And it's a bit frustrating. It's made me shift gears a little bit with this, actually. Ever since I suppose, started working in a more corporate environment as a software developer, I've become kind of uptight about Git history type stuff and keeping, every commit atomic and, making sure that you have a beautiful history that tells a story about how the code went from the state that it was when you checked it out to the state you want to check back in. And today I just realized, you know what? I can't do that. I've spent two hours on this. I'm just gonna squash this. This was something like 50 commits before I squashed it into 3. And I'm just gonna review it and let it rip, because I'd like to not be working on a pretty simple compression plugin forever. I've got better things to do, like talk about some of the issues that I had at the end of the last stream. Well, I suppose this was not an issue that I first encountered during the last stream, but also I forgot that I'm going to check YouTube on the off chance that someone drops by while I'm streaming. It still feels so weird to do this, you know. It feels kind of presumptuous, but I suppose that's the point. You kind of just assume the best, you know. And honestly, though, whether you happen to join me during this stream or happen to watch some of this later, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. And I hope that you come by again. Anyway, so at the end of the last stream, here's the kind of list of topics. I'm going to slow down a little bit. The beginning was, I suppose, a little bit of a rant about where I'm at in terms of side projects. I'm not sure if I'm going to get through all of this today, but I want to do a few things. I want to discuss the... I'm going to start being more professional. I'm going to take notes about... put little timestamps. That is one nice thing about when you edit the video and you put the description in. If you just put a time in, it automatically turns it into a timestamp. Thank you, YouTube. So, I want to revisit the blowing up when using 64-bit floats issue that I talked about last stream. I want to at least nail down what bothers me about this issue with running initialization code at the top of main and how it makes prototyping more difficult. At least enough to formulate a good question for the Discord to see, I suppose to ask, is this an oversight in terms of the language, or is there a better way that I could be doing it? I'd like to do some refactoring and cleanup of our downsampler, because there's, as you can see, some kind of, it's a little messier now simply because I left it in a state that would make it easier for somebody to take a look at this everything blowing up issue. I want to figure out how to do printing and log statements. I want to see, I want to understand or learn how to export C++ from this patch and take a look at it, see if it's something that I would love. Although I'm not sure if I have the right, we can discuss this later. I just want to see what it looks like, right? And I want to explore ways of making the current effect as written a little bit cooler, because, you know, it's pretty basic right now. And maybe try a different downsampling algorithm. So, regarding this float 64 blow up, so and I won't recreate it on stream because it can be very loud potentially. I had an issue when I was implementing this oscillator where it worked fine for a 32-bit float, but for a 64-bit float, you'd get like in for like no output or something like this. I brought it to the, let me look up the, let me see what I said. I'll see what I said later, but I basically brought it to the Cmajor Discord, and it turns out that it is a bug, not in the language itself, but in some optimization code I think about, which I don't completely understand how Cmajor works, but I suppose due to an optimization, some wrapping code was expecting a 32-bit float, even when I specified a 64-bit float. One thing he did mention, the person mentioned on the Cmajor team, is that for whatever reason, if I specified a stereo 64-bit float, that it would be fine, because I suppose it's a super edge case bug. Cool. And I suppose most importantly, in the next update, which has not landed yet, they've already got a fix for it. I'm saying they because I don't know them, and I like to use they. That's why I'm correcting myself like that. Anyway, so it was a bug. Fixing coming. Nice. Thanks again to the Cmajor team. Init code and prototyping. So this one, this was a result of when I wanted to do a very quick and dirty prototype of the final effect, and I implemented a version of this that didn't expose this parameter. Did I remove it? No, I didn't remove it, but I just, didn't declare in any of the upstream code. And what that resulted in was the effect not working, because it needs all this stuff to be initialized in order to do its thing, right? The issue is apparently this does not run at all unless the parameter is actually exposed. So in order to prevent such an issue from happening, and also this just feels more correct, right? Like this cannot work without being set up. Therefore, I don't want to depend on something that is optional to, it effectively makes exposing this non-optional, which is unclear. So I put this setup call in here. So when you call, when this object is first instantiated, or when this processor is first instantiated, it calls setup. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Yeah, maybe that's a little better. I don't know. It calls the init code. I suppose that's actually, sorry, being a little, so however, doing this has a side effect that is a bit annoying. I'm not sure if it actually, I'm not even sure if it raises to the level of annoyance, but it's definitely makes things more difficult. I want to find a different drum loop. Oh yes, I also need to and here's hoping. Hey, okay, cool. But I am not hearing it, which is less cool. Now, why is that? Let's see. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, yeah, or maybe that's. Okay, let's use this. This will be the the sample that we use. And let's slowly wait for this to instantiate. All right, here we go. Oh, you know what? I don't need a big. Maybe that'll ease things. Oh, I keep doing this to myself. This does not pass audio unless it has something loaded. So oh, that's also the wrong file. It's the C major patch. Right, so also, you know what? One thing. Let's do some quality of life real quick. We know that this is not going to blow up anymore. So I don't know. Oh wait, no, this is wrong. Let's just keep things simple. I just want to initialize it at 0. So I'll unload it. And let's drop it in there again. Yes, here we go. Okay, cool. So cool. So that is our nice downsample. Now let's make a change to it. Actually, I think any change would work for this. So let's actually once again change the, I guess, the initial, right? First of all, so this is cool. Let's save it. That's weird. As you can see, the UI is still set to the value that we had it. And then once we touch it, it actually does the effect. And I suppose, right, whatever is happening, there's a bit of a conflict between the setup that is initiated by this and the you know, yeah, and this setup, because this is just setting up according to a constant, which is, looking at this more, it feels like it's something that I'm doing wrong, an expectation that I'm just like not doing this in the C major way, right? My expectation basically, right? Let's get rid of, right? Right, that if I were to now make an edit, it's going to, yeah, it's going to stay, it's going to retain the setting that we had here. Or, but for whatever reason, I suppose makes sense. It's just like, how do I set this up correctly? I think part of what I'm missing here is an understanding exactly of how these events, or I mean, I've been calling them parameters, but they're actually called events, how they work. Oh well, I think I'm going to set that aside for the current moment. But I suppose we could write notes. Issue, we have code that we have a processor that should have variables initialized a startup. We don't want to depend on an event callback to do this, because this would mean that, at least for now, including the effect without exposing the event, because this would mean that including the event, including the effect, using the effect without exposing the event, because using the effect without exposing the event would not means that the event callback won't run and the processor won't work. We should initialize the processor no matter what. But what value should we use? Using a constant currently leads to the processor always initializing to that constant. In other words, what we would rather it do is use the current parameter state. Concretely, right? Making changes to the patch causes the frequency of the processor to reset to the const init value. We do not want this. Okay. Writing that out, and it's very nice to write things out. I'm thinking of something somewhat simple we can do. And it's a little bit hacky, but you know what? Wait, would this work? No, it will not work. Never mind. I wanted to have an initialized flag or something like this. This is what I wanted to do. You know what? Let's do it. It's not going to work. It was false, right? if initialized, call the setup function, right? So my idea here is, because it seems to me that since I feel like this is actually getting called twice, and this is overwriting it. So I think what is happening, I think what we could hypothetically do, if this weren't a bad idea, is have this flag. And if we start out uninitialized, if we've called setup at least once, initialize gets set to true. And if somehow it hasn't been set to true, maybe because you didn't connect the event, I'm time stamping, hold on. Call the setup function. This is not going to work. Okay, cool. So okay, so now I'm going to make some change. Oh yeah, that should not go that far. I don't know, probably 1K. Okay, so now, wait. Huh. Oh, well, wait a second. Why is, okay. That's why. Oh, okay. You know what? Whatever. There's no reason that shouldn't be that. But one thing I actually just learned about parameters is that, or about events, is that it seems like the top level event wins, which was something I actually wanted to know. What do I mean by the top level event wins? Okay, so you see this event here, frequency. This is our this is how we get the basic frequency value that we use to all this setup. Now, in order for it to be reachable by the main graph, we need to declare it in the processor that uses this oscillator. And we need to declare it in the graph itself. And I was wondering what happens here, because every time you declare it, you can give it all of these different attributes here. The only required one is right here. My question was, what wins? Like if these differ, and I think it's which is, I mean, I'm thankful for this. I think it's the top level, the parent, as it were, declaration of this event is what ends up being used. Let's test that. Let's see. Okay. Okay. So, oops. Okay. Well, that's something I didn't expect to learn. Let's now make another change to verify this. Huh. Okay, well, First of all, this is declared in a weird place. I clearly don't understand the lifetime of any of these objects, because this actually seems to work. Huh. Okay. But as you can see, whatever. Things that I'm more sure of are this works as expected. This actually kind of brings us to our next, well, what's going to be our next. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about putting an initialize flag in there like that. Maybe that's just what you're supposed to do. Anyway, let's see. 30, 40. It would be fantastic to do some logging in order to figure out, answer questions like, hey, what is this getting set to? When I, like, what is it actually getting set to in the processor? And I don't know how to do that. So we can answer our question of, is this working correctly? Let's see. Print. Let's see. No, that is not it. Logging. This is not. Let's go to the language. Writing to outputs. Standard library? No, this is all domain specific stuff. Audio stuff. Let's do another search. Oh, okay. So it looks like you can just point something to the console. So let's see. Console. Blit. Setup. Oh. Oh, okay. That's interesting. Okay, we can't do that. But let's see. I just want to see. I know that doesn't make any sense, but let's just you know, I'm actually not sure. Of how to, you know, hook into the Cmajor console. I thought that it would just be, it would just show up in my terminal. But that does not seem to have done the trick. Huh. No, not debug. Oh. Okay, so we've got a complicated printing to console is straight forward. Forward. All right. Stuff, right? However, hooking into the C major console, or I guess viewing the console output is for now a mystery. That is not the issue I thought that I was going to have with this. How interesting. Okay, well, whatever. What I wanted to do, right, is actually verify that stuff was getting initialized by looking at it. But let's just listen. So that's, you know what, let's do this a little more properly, right? By recording examples so we don't have to like go back and forth. Okay, cool. Now let's make a change. One that should not change the current setting, but should cause the patch to reload. Oh, that's, yeah, I forgot that you need to. Okay, so let's see. Okay, well, I keep trying to save this by mistake. That actually works. That's funny. So I suppose we can add an addendum here. We can make sure that the processor uses the current parameter value via a flag that is set when setup runs. The idea here is that the event callback, if connected, executes before main, and therefore was being overwritten. Checking the flag before initializing in main prevents this. Is this the right way to do this sort of thing? That I am not so sure of, but you know, whatever. Let's cd repos What did I change here? Oh, yes. Let's first. No, definitely don't want that. Yes. Ah, I see. Wait. Where is... No. Oh, that is still there. Use a flag to determine whether to call setup in blit main. Actually, I'm going to be a little more. Use a flag to determine whether setup blit setup is called. This allows the processor to use the current, I guess, patch the right values based on patch upstream graph parameters instead of always using the default starting frequency, which is what happens if you just call if you just call setup, if you call setup in main no matter what. Cool. Now, what are other ways we could solve this that might actually be... I'm not sure what's nicer. This is nice because it doesn't rely on the client to set it up correctly, right? It just does its thing. But I don't like how it relies on my inferred understanding of this order of events between, when does this get called? When does this event get called in terms of when main gets called? So actually, discomfort is maybe a question for the Discord. Question. Is the call order between event callbacks for what is the call order in a processor? Is it well defined? I guess by well-defined, or, you know, is it in the document? Is it documented? Is this intentional, or is it by well-defined? I guess I mean like, this is the order in which things happen, and we are assuming you're always going to do that. We're not going to change that. Or is it kind of just, could it change in the next version? I don't know. So that's my main question. And what I mean by call order is, you know, just like in C++, right? When you instantiate a class, the first thing that's going to happen is that any no, I'm not. I'm just going to do the constructor, right? So my class type param member. So the first thing that's going to happen is any member variables are going to be instantiated. And, you know, you're going to be doing things like in the initializer list, initializations. I forget what this part is called, right? If some of them don't have a default constructor, you're going to be passing things into them there. So the first thing that happens is, when you instantiate the class, is, you know, all the members get instantiated, and then the constructor runs, right? And this happens in reverse in C++, when the destructor runs. So my question is similar to that, because a lot of it can be very, very important to keep that in mind. For example, you know, if you have something like in C++, I don't know, class, a dependent class. This is dependency. I guess this one actually, this one is not, I'm just going to rock with it. Because, right, in real life, this is the only way that you could declare this, right? Because otherwise, you know, this won't build, right? But say actually, right, let's say that you actually don't have to instantiate it. Right, so this is somewhere in the variables of this class, of my class. So right, dependent, you know, add dependency pointer to dependency, right? So this means that we really, 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 really care about what order these destroy in, right? Because this dependent class now has, is holding a pointer to the dependency. So, you know, somewhere in dependent class, right, there's some function that, you know, dereferences the dependency. So we really need to know something like when a class is destroyed, in what order are its members destroyed? And I'm happy to say that in C++, they're destroyed in the reverse order of their declaration. So here we're completely fine, right? Once my class goes away, and that's after the destructor runs, because everything's in reverse. I'm like 90% sure of that. The destructor runs, and then we start destroying the member variables. So cool, this is going to get destroyed. The dependent will be destroyed, and then the dependency will be destroyed, which is great because the dependency doesn't care about the dependent. It was the other way around. Of course, if we do, you know, basically, right? If we instead define the dependency after the dependent, this will cache. This will cache out. This is going to crash on destruction, or this might, right? Which is almost worse than will, right? Because it will be harder to show up or to find. Why, right? Because somewhere in dependent class, we have a dereference of dependency, right? So let's say dependency is destroyed. However, let's just say that dependent uses dependency in its dependency is destroyed. Let's just say that, right? So now we're in dependent, and we're doing, I don't know, dependency clean up. This will crash. This is also also important in a multi-threading context, right? Because you could also say, well, it doesn't matter that much because, these are being destroyed, right? Therefore, if these are on the same thread, if both of these are acting entirely in the same thread context, you can reason that, well, everything that this does, that the thread is doing, what's the best way of it? See, that's why threading stuff is so annoying. It is very hard to think about or communicate. I'll just leave it to, it is more likely for these types of issues to happen when multi-threading is in the mix, because it's harder to reason about when certain code is going to execute. Anyway, that is why I am nervous about why my lack of understanding of so actually let's make this an actual question. What is in what order do processor functions and variables function execution, maybe just how do, in what order do processors instantiate? Sorry, Jesus. when does main run? When do events run? When are variables created and destroyed? I don't know, and that makes me nervous. But for now, it looks like it's kind of solved. Cool. Let's keep it moving. Okay, hold on 1 second. Commit get some sensible param limits param, I don't know, whatever. Okay. So refactoring and cleanup. Or rather, cleanup and refactoring. Let's close this for now. Yeah, you know what? Let's say do I want to save it? Sure. Cleanup, refactoring. All right. Let's do the cleanup first. So since they're going to fix this soon. Originally, I just left this in, assuming I would drop it, but I think I'm going to leave this here. Because, you know, other processors in Cmajor are able to accept or process an arbitrary float type, so why not this? But one thing we can do, we can get rid of this. Right? Cool. And let's just take a passing look. I mean, I'm just going to do this in the spirit of well, actually, I should have kept this open, live open, because it could help me. It would help me, absolutely, find out when and how I break things. So, okay, cool. Oh. Wow. Okay, things are really bad. My mouse is dragging, so I'm going to do a quick look at the activity monitor. And see if there's anything there's anything that I could be doing. I have a feeling that the answer is sadly no, but, you know, no, it's just, okay, well, that is life. And we're back. Yes, so we're in live. We want to, oh yeah, and if I do this, you know, I actually haven't seen, let's see how this works with, because I don't care necessarily about having this perfectly, oh, interesting. Okay, the patch file did not contain a valid JSON object. I'm not sure what that means or why that would be, but I'm not going to sweat it because I don't care about that right now. But let's reveal this in Finder again. And, right. Okay, cool. And so we've done a tiny bit of cleanup. Does that rename? And nothing has broken. I guess this should be like this. I don't know. You know what? Is there a style guide? Let's see. Okay. So, one thing that we should actually do. I don't know why I got so snake casey. I'm like not typically like that. So that's correct. This is not. Oop. Let's make sure everything builds. Yes, great. Okay, well, let's see some example patches again. Maybe there's something in here. Make that a little bigger, yeah. I just want to see generally how. Okay, so they. You can see maybe my variable declaration should actually be up here. Let's take a look at another one. Oh, well, this is a very simple one. Maybe the tremolo? Let's see. Ooh, I wonder what that means. Input LFO. Huh. Interesting. Well, whatever. Let's look at the. Oh, interesting. This is another graph. Okay, this is not a great, because I want to see more, you know, what a processor looks like. Here's the graph. Here's a processor. Okay. Yeah, so and I can see the style seems to be, I wonder if that's the case for, let's actually go to the GitHub. And let's look at something more simple than a namespace smoothing. Oh, interesting. Oh, okay, here, nice. So we have the input declaration output, we have an event. Ooh, and we have init action going on here. When does init get called? I'm just wondering, like, whose responsibility it is to call init. Is this just something we get for free? No, probably not. There's probably something you have to call on it. This might be what we're supposed to really do with, I wish I could see this. You know what I could figure out is, see what is, functions. Okay, yeah. So I should, okay. Either way. Just taking a look. Okay, maybe something a little more complicated than this. Well, fine. Let's take a look at the filters. So yeah, we have, I mean, the thing I'm getting generally is that, oh, the one thing I wanted to see is, seems like there's a strong, well, this makes it const. Interesting. So when is default values if not specified? Okay, so where is default frequency used? Oh, I see. So let me think about this. Oh, okay. Well, so this actually answers the question for us to a certain extent. Um, you know, this is similar to, and this is actually a better wording. So let's do that. So, right, this is a similar mechanism to what I implemented with this like is initialized flag. Here you see that there is a variable called update filter, and here it's in the loop because you don't want these to get calculated every time. And if you if it's time to update, if the filter has been if the filter coefficients or all the things, the different parts of the filter need to be recalculated, go ahead and do that, and then set that flag to false. And changing the event. So I guess that kind of changes. It's a little bit of a different issue, right? This is more like preventing excessive updates, whereas mine is preventing excessive setup, whereas mine is making sure that it does set up. Anyway, so wow, this is some real. So we got some real fancy templating type. I don't know what they call that. I mean, in Cmajor, it's not templating. It's generics, right? Interesting. Cool. Well, the takeaway for me on that is live still open? Let's close it for a second. No, actually, let's not close it because we're using it to make sure everything's building. Is that... Actually, I didn't actually answer my initial question, which is where are variable declarations? Where do they like to declare mutable variables? Okay. And there's our answer. Before main. So I haven't had any water in a second. Cool. I'm assuming everything is still going to build. Yes. Very cool. I don't see any obvious cleanups. So oh, there is one. Is there? Formatting and naming cleanups. Cool. Did I want to... Oh, I wanted to make it easier to experiment with using float type. Wow. Using float type equals float 32. So can I do this? see. Nope. Endpoint declarations must appear at the start. So, I mean, gotta do that. Endpoint, it still doesn't. Oh, yes, of course. Oh, okay. That. Do I like that? I don't know. Anyway, let's turn it down since we're experimenting. Okay, and now I'm going to mute this because I'm going to try. Yep, and we have, oh. Here we go. So this builds, but as you can see, we no longer have any output because of that bug. Which, I mean, this isn't really necessary because you wouldn't really, the only time you would, most times, right, most hosts, if we're talking about plugins, are not going to be, actually, that's not true. I was about to say something that wasn't true, so never mind. Really, what you want to be able to do is ask the host, get from the context what type is desired, required. But I've got a new question that I want to, for a second, can we access channel count from like graph context or Cmajor runtime, whatever the host? So ideally, right, this would not be hard set to 2 channels. It would be whatever is required of it, because there's nothing internally that keeps it, that keeps 2 channel or 1 channel multi-channel operation from working. First, let's, and you know what, actually, blit. Oh yeah, and actually it should be blit down sample, because it's like it's a type, it's a processor. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking earlier. Oscillator. Wait. Huh. Whatever. I kind of did another falsehood earlier, but I'm going to. Wait, what did I do with the type here? This is like not really correct. Using frame type. It's float 32. Oh, I see. Because the frame type, yes, mono float 32, but it might be able to operate at stereo, whereas currently we're running the blit only at float 32. But we should add using what did I do here? Coefficient type. I don't know if I love that wording, but you know what? That's just gonna have to do. And oh, what happened? What did I miss? Oh. Okay. Cool. And now the computer. Okay, we've got some nice renames. I feel compelled to say again that this slowness is entirely my computer's issue. But you know, it's gone so bad. I'd like to check whether or not Apple spell. Ah, yes, Backblaze has decided to jump in and start backing stuff up. No, thank you. All right. So, okay, we've done a little bit of naming, a little bit of formatting, cleanup, and stuff like that. Cool. You know what would be another nice thing to do? I feel that it's more legible this way. What does that number mean? It's right there. Okay, it's added again. No, there is now nothing extra running. Let's see how these I'm feeling the ice packs I've got underneath the computer. They're still somewhat cold, but clearly they don't really do much. Which is okay. I guess there's like only so much they could do. Actually, turning off the screen share helps a little bit, which makes sense. But anyway, so let's see where we're at now. My little C++ lesson. So I actually have more looking at existing implementations. I do see patterns close to what I'm doing. For example, using flags to only update filter coefficients when a parameter changes. However, I also see init functions exposed to the exposed to the client. Is this a better place for our setup? I don't know. It works right now, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Done. Can we access the channel count, like, from the Cmajor? Can we ask, like, processor, how many channels do we have? So let's see. Frequency. Channels. Let's see. Okay, that doesn't really. I'm going to punt on this. Hey, buddy. Cat's here again. Yeah. So that's an ask on Discord. This is also an ask on Discord. What does this look like in C++? That's a fantastic. Oh, and now we can close live. Let's see. Oh yeah, wait. Let's see. Let's see where we're at. 28. I should if I could have a little display just up in the corner. Anyway, oh man, hold up. Okay, that's gonna annoy me. So I will. Anyway, how do we turn this into C++? Creating your first patch. I'm assuming that this would be the Cmajor command line tool. Yes. Okay, so let's I thought I installed the command line tools. I guess not. Let's download you. Oh. Okay. Hold on just 1 second. Oh, I have downloaded this. I just maybe threw out. I'll just move this to the desktop. Okay. Yes. Cmaj help. Cmod plus x cmaj. Is that the issue? Or is it just that I didn't? No, that was. And also now I'm paranoid that I have destroyed my audio. Oh. So I'm going to. Okay. Let's see. Wow. I'm listening back to myself right now. Okay. Okay, everything sounds fine. Wow. This is a lot of stuff. So Cmaj oh wait, and also it's super tiny for you. I'm so sorry. Cmaj generate target equals CPP. Cmaj generate target equals CPP. And then is it the, so it would be the patch. So repos Cmajor. Repos Cmajor or Cmajor playground. Split downsample dot Cmajor patch. Let's see, what did I do wrong here? I missed a directory. Split. Okay. You know what? What is your users? Oh, that's why. I see. So, split downsample.cpp. Cool. Code split downsample dot. Wow, that is so small still. I'm so sorry. There we go. All right, and that's at the very bottom of the screen. Okay, let's see. Let's see if we can understand this struct. Okay. In number of endpoint endpoints, number of output endpoints. Max frames per block, event buffer size, endpoint handles. Get endpoint handle for name. Input endpoints, output endpoints. Number of input and output channels. Output audio streams. Okay, no output events, no output MIDI events. Huh. Where's input endpoints? Okay. Endpoint type stream. So what is a stream? Okay, it's defined there. Okay. We've got a description of the processor in JSON. Oh wow, this is okay. Maybe I'm gonna try to cruise through this faster. I just took a look over at this side. It was like, oh my god. So does this mean that so this has made its own array implementation? Its own vector implementation. Or I guess probably for this to work, it probably has to, let's see, first impression. It needs a lot of boilerplate. Hand-rolled vector array implementations, for example. This makes, I think it makes sense. However, it makes using this for small modules less attractive. As I said at the beginning of the stream, I'm somewhat interested in using this for prototyping, or maybe incorporating it into like an effects and an algorithm building workflow. And one way I was thinking of doing this, right, we could do two kinds of very simple that could use Cmajor, right? Right. We could do all in Cmajor, right? Cmajor is easy, pleasant to use. It's fast. I think I haven't done anything that would test it either way. Right. write the whole algorithm in C major, then export to C++, and put it in my plugin. The second approach I was thinking about is something like I guess the big drawback right here is you get less flexibility in the plugin itself. Right, you have to kind of commit to the current graph. However, you could do something like make little modules and create an API for accessing them in C++. And I suppose I could still do that. The way I was thinking of doing it was silly. Well, I was thinking of doing it was doing it, you know, simply making modules in C major and then exporting would result in a lot of repeated boilerplate. That doesn't make sense. However, what if we had a big C major project that when converted to C++, didn't specify a processor or graph or anything, but various processors. Is that even possible? Okay, well, back to taking a look at what this looks like. Oh yeah, this was in C major. Let's see. Okay, so we've got a lot. Oh, and here is stuff about I'm going to steal this. How to ignore warnings if you need to. Anyway, oh, here we go. The actual, was that the, yeah, so this, what, a good quarter of this implementation is, I'd say boilerplate, you know, basic types. And wow. And I mean, I suppose this isn't what, I mean, I don't think it was a realistic expectation to be able to, you know, edit this after the fact or something like in C++. But one thing I can say, right? Oh. So second impression. workflow needs to be editing in Cmajor, using in C++. Because earlier I was wondering, oh, could I kind of start the development of a processor in Cmajor and then tweak it some more in C++? I thought that's actually, is that even a good idea? No, it's kind of counter to the whole notion of tinkering around. Whatever. This doesn't make sense. The C++ isn't terribly readable. It's not meant to be. So I think it wasn't reasonable to expect that. And also expecting further tweak in C++ takes away a big, detracts from a big benefit of working with Cmajor. Easy tweaking. Like why would I do the tweaking in C++ when I could do it in Cmajor and be able to iterate more quickly? Okay, well let's, sorry, I keep having little is it worth looking through any? No, I don't think it's actually, because it is looks hard. Darn, I'm glad that I don't have, oh wow, this is actually larger than I thought it was, actually. Oh my. Yo. Huh. Interesting. Okay. You know, really briefly though, I saw something that I was a little interested in. So, Cmaj. Oh. Let's see. Generates a diagram of the patch's structure. That's cool. Huh. So, oh. Okay, that I'm doing something not correct. That's okay. Whatever. Okay, that actually leads us pretty much to the end. Is there anything else that I want to? Oh my, I had something in the back of my head for a second. I was like, I would really like to. Well, see, it's been. Oh, it hasn't been that long. So maybe let's look at. Do I want to look at that right now? No, I'm a bit tired. So next time, referencing how do I use major code, C major objects, graphs, successors, declared. Oh, no, wait. Also, I missed something. And this actually seems kind of easy to look into. I'm going to move these to next time, because I feel that I'm drawing to a close. How do we use C major graphs and processor and all that stuff declared in other files? Like, how do these do it? How do they become aware, you know? And let's see if there's anything I can close, because we're being a little pokey. Do the examples do anything like this? They probably just use stuff in the standard library. Let's see if there's anything with multiple C major files. Okay, here we go. This is a good example. Let's see. So there is. Oh wait, I misunderstood. No, these are completely different effects. Is this really the place? No, I think I'm looking in the wrong place. Patch format, maybe? Let's see. C major. Oh, here we go. Okay. The source property in the manifest tells the host which C major files to compile for the C major source code. This property can either be a single string containing a file path relative to the folder containing the patch, or an array of string file names if there are multiple files. All the source files will be loaded and linked together as a single unit so they can freely refer to the definitions in the other files without needing to explicitly import them. Okay, so as long as the file is referred to here, we don't need to do any kind of include type stuff. So that is the answer to that. Add the files to the C major patch sources. Cool. And that, I think that's the end. Next time, I want to explore making the effect a little bit cooler. I want to maybe add a little bit of distortion. Definitely add pre-post filtering. And then I want to try a different algorithm. There is an even more simple algorithm that was shown in this same KVR thread where I saw Signal Smith's explanation, beautiful explanation about doing a band limited impulse train, where you do a wait, no, this is not what that was. Where you implement. No, that's not what that is either. I'm so sorry. Where is it? Hold on. Hold on just one darn second. Oops. You know what? Whatever. Where you implement a sample and hold implementation that instead of using a and basically that whole algorithm is you have a phase increment per tick, right? When phase is greater than or equal to 1, right? Sample and hold, write currently held sample to output. Then you have a phase increment per tick when the phase is greater than 1. Currently held sample equals the input. And then so I want to try a different algorithm, and then I want to refactor into an effect that lets you choose which alg to use. And that'll be interesting because we'll do some refactoring of this stuff, right? Because we would want to have the pre and post filtering outside of, would we actually? No, well, sorry, thinking too far ahead. But yeah, and eventually I think it might be nice to make some kind of code example, or maybe make something that I could just publish. I could just publish as mostly just as I suppose a record of this stream, in a way, a companion. But also if anybody would like to just have this implemented already, they could have it. And eventually, once I'm done with my UI stuff in Valentine and have figured out a way to iterate on some of the DSP without delaying a release or anything silly like that, I want to think about how to port this to C++. Well, porting it to C++ will not be the hardest thing on the planet. The hard part will be making design decisions. Or figure out a slick way to integrate. I'm going to call them Cmajor externals. Cool. Let's see if I've got any. Okay, well, we'll see when I stream next, probably later this week. Thanks for dropping by, hanging out. Thank you for taking a look after the fact. If this has been served to you by either me asking you to go watch it or linking, yeah. Hope that the rest of your evening and that your week is good.